Hey everyone, Jamie here, and in this video we are going to cover some of my predictions on what we are going to see in the web development area in 2018. So I think in 2018 we're going to see three things. And the first is I think we're slowly going to see more and more serverless approached, serverless built applications. The approach in building front-end applications which just use completely serverless backends, we're going to see more and more of that, and that's using things like Amazon Azure, AWS Lambda, and Z Now, Apex Up, and even GraphQL. There's going to be a lot of things that we're going to see in the serverless space just keep growing, and as more and more examples come about and people get into it, we're going to just start to see the benefits of that. And I think a lot of people are going to sort of jump on that and try to figure out their best way of doing things. So it's really cool. You should check that out if that's something which you haven't looked at. I'm doing a lot of serverless things with GraphQL now, and that takes me on to my next point that I think in the second thing that we'll see of next year is we're going to see again further uptake in GraphQL. So the GraphQL buzz has been really grown over the past sort of 9 months. The beginning of the year when there was GraphQL Europe conference. Since then, there has been a lot of activity in the GraphQL space. We've had things like Apollo Client, the Apollo Server, the Client 2.0. We've had Relay and Relay Modern. We've also had GraphQL open source its backend. We've had competitors shut down. There's been a lot of activity in the GraphQL space, and people are making humongous efforts to try and get their applications working with GraphQL. I've got a completely different course on how you can create a GraphQL server. It's still relevant, it still works. It uses the GraphQL JS module, which is one of the Facebook implementations, the official one. So you can learn how to use that and create a GraphQL server. But if you want to dive into more, there's tons and tons of websites out there, and I'll leave a few links in the comments below on where you can get started with GraphQL. So I think that's going to be the second biggest thing of next year, that and serverless. The final thing, I think we are going to sort of see a very sort of rapid development in additional frameworks that come out, especially for the back end and also for the front end. We're going to start to see maybe there's a few more come about based on what is already out there. So I think lately there was a competitor to Webpack. I can't remember the name, but that came about, and it kind of taken some of the things of Webpack and it tried to improve it and create the builds faster and smaller and etc. I think we're going to see a lot more mature and sort of frameworks come around and tools in the industry. I'd like to see a few more options from the front end for using GraphQL and using certainly using things like React, and some alternatives to React might be quite nice. I think at the moment a lot of people have settled on React, Angular, and Vue. There's also things like Next.js and other serverless backends like React.ql, and we're going to see, I think, maybe a few more just pop up, and I think then towards the end of the year we'll start to see which is leading the way now, what is the default tool. And I know with React, the Create React app is kind of a default now. If you're getting into React, that's a tool that people will kind of just default to using because you don't have to think about any of the configuration. But I think there's a huge learning curve that as a new developer, especially in the React world, if you're using things like the Create React app, you kind of miss out that Webpack section. And I certainly did at the beginning. I was looking at Webpack, and it was kind of in its early days. Didn't understand exactly maybe the best way to go around doing things. So when Create React app came along, I thought, this is magic. It does everything for me. But I kind of have forgotten and missed, and I certainly haven't kept up to date with how Webpack does things. So I kind of feel as though I'm lacking a bit of knowledge in that area. So I think what we'll see is a few more tools that allow us to dive a little bit deeper and don't just kind of hide all of the sort of the inner workings. It's a bit more fluid and a bit more out there for us to use. That said, Create React app, you can eject from it, so you can see how it does all of that and you can expand on it. So it's definitely a cool thing. Also Next.js, which is a React framework, think we'll see that expand even further. They've done some amazing work in the last sort of 6 to 9 months, and with their Z8 Now platform and their OpenDNS, they're doing some amazing things. So we'll start to see things shift in that area with Site, and that'll start to show by the end of the year what they're really made of and what they want to achieve. And so of 2018, the 3 areas in web development is we're going to see serverless, more serverless backed applications, and people are going to start to be moving away from monolithics to that. It's not to say that it's better. I just think that people are going to jump on that bus, and they're going to start to see maybe how they can do things differently. The same when new frameworks pop up, people like to switch to it to see if it works and prototype and do some, just do some rapid prototyping with these new frameworks to see if it works in their build process and their tools and their environments and whatever. I think we're going to see a bit of that with serverless, and then with GraphQL, we're going to see GraphQL absolutely explode next year. I think that is just going to be an amazing time to be on. So if you're building a backend or you're involved with anything, certainly look at GraphQL, because right now there are people who are wanting to get into GraphQL. They're building a lot of middleware to sort of mask an API that is just REST only, and people are developing so fast in the front end that you want to be able to access their data with GraphQL and all of the benefits that brings. They want to kind of keep doing that, and front end development is in more demand. People want more features, and the only way to sort of do that I've found is by using really cool, simple tools like Apollo Client to sort of get that real-time approach going with GraphQL subscriptions. That really, really works well when you're building interfaces. And if you're not using GraphQL, then it's kind of a really big miss. So it's definitely worth checking out if you're into the React side and with using data from a server. It's definitely something you should check out. It's not for everyone, but I've seen huge benefits, and it's a huge improvement to my workflow. So definitely check that out. And like I said, we're going to see a ramp up and a slowly ramp down of additional back-end and front-end frameworks, and we're kind of going to settle towards the end of the year on what people are really, really into and what that does. So cool. Let's see how this goes. 2017 has been an amazing year for me and for the web development community. We've seen a lot of things come, a lot of things go, and we've seen some huge things like CSS Grid and everything else that's come about. We've had Flexbox really took off, and now people are thinking, well, should I move on from Flexbox to CSS Grid? So there's been a huge change in the way people do build applications, and that's only going to improve next year, and it's also going to get a lot quicker as well. I think people are going to be sort of picking things up, dropping them, and trying different things to really find out what their flavor is by the end of 2018. So yeah, this has been a video just on those 3 areas and what I think is going to be hot and the future of 2018 in web development. Have a great one, happy coding, and I'll be back with another video soon. Bye.